The Detroit Public School League Game of the Week. Today's contest is Detroit Cass Tech and Detroit Henry Ford. Welcome, everyone. Hello, I'm Jeff Lowe along with Quentin King.
And hello to you, everybody.
And we're into this second semifinal match right now. Victorious in the first game was the King Crusaders. So they will meet the winner of this one and move on to the championship round of the Detroit Public School League. And just a little bit about Cass Tech. A little bit about Cass Tech and these two teams. Give me your overall view of this game.
Well, we've seen Cass Tech play this year. They've got a pretty solid football team. They love to play smash mouth football. They've got a nice defensive alignment. Their defensive unit cheats a little bit, especially when things are going pretty good for them. But they're playing an excellent team in Henry Ford.
All right, I formation for the Trojans of Detroit Henry Ford, coached by Coach Mike Marshall. Detroit Cass Tech is coached by Coach Sherrill Rowland. Detroit Henry Ford 7-0. Been victorious in every outing. Detroit Cass Tech 6-1, coming off a devastating loss to Detroit Chassis by a score of 42-0. Here is the second play from scrimmage. Londell Bright carrying the ball for Detroit Cass Tech. Bright, only a junior, 5'7", 140 pounds, and probably their fastest guy.
Yeah, that was Henry Ford with the carry. And but the thing about it is, Jeff, the one thing that this team right now, Henry Ford is trying to establish is to run. They're trying to establish that they can run on Cass Tech, and if they can open that up, then possibly they'll put it up in the air. This is going to be like a chess match between these two teams here.
Let's call it third down and about 6. Pressure from the outside. Tevell Jones eluding a couple tackles, but cannot elude number 33 for Detroit Cass Tech. And that is
Benjamin Murphy. And a host of other Cass Tech teammates converged on that tackle. It was, I tell you something, you got to give it to Cass. They broke through that offensive line of Henry Ford's. Look at just what count. 1. Here comes 1. Here comes 2. Missed tackles. 3, 4, 5. I mean, they were just there. 5 come piling on. Cass Tech is really excited about this game today. They're geeked up about this game. They're trying to tell Henry Ford, no, you're not going to run on us today.
4th down and 12 in punt formation. Detroit Cass Tech receiving the ball right about the 35. It's number 33, Benjamin Murphy. And this is going to be a very hard-hitting contest. And the one that comes out of this will probably be the team that gets enough points to be the one of 4 teams to be considered for state competition.
Right, that's going to be real interesting to see. Cass Tech, as you said, coming off that devastating loss against Chassis. Let's take a look at the officials here. As you can see, the referee is Daniel O'Neill. Umpire is Sam Williams. Head linesman is Mike Smith. Line judge is Dick Lesbitt, and back judge is Ben Johnson. Doing a great job today.
First possession for Detroit Cass. Cass Tech in the green, Henry Ford in the white uniforms. And carrying the ball for Detroit Cass Tech is number 3, Carlos Carey, a 5'10", 109-pound running back, and he's a senior.
Give Henry Ford all the credit in the world. They strung that play out. They contained the back. They cut him off. He probably picked up a yard, if anything, on that play. Both these teams look like they're geeked up defensively, and what's going on right now is Cass Tech is trying to establish against Henry Ford that they can run the ball. This is going to be a chess match, as I said a little bit earlier.
Detroit Cass Tech is a power formation team. Power I left, and here's the give. And a big pop coming up from the defensive quarterback position. That's number 6, Derek Miller.
What a hit. What a hit. These guys are hitting out there. They're doing everything that you're supposed to do. They're hitting hard. You can hear these pass pops. It's going to be a great game, Jeff Lowe. This is going to be an exciting game here today. Let's take a look at the replay. What happens is there's a quick handoff, running left. Watch this. Bam! He comes around, down he goes. That was a nice hit. I mean, they converged on the back. 2 defenders take him down, and believe me, he felt that one, folks.
Power I formation left for the Cass technicians. Power versus finesse. And here is a running play. That's number 3 with the carry. Carlos Carey with the ball.
Carlos Carey was put down by a host of defenders for Henry Ford. These guys are game tackling as well. What they're doing in everything, one thing I'm looking at Henry Ford and I'm seeing is that they are blocking the gaps. They are closing them off. They're game tackling Cass Tech. Right now, the war is in between the two lines. Whichever line wins will win this game. Cass Tech is trying to assert itself offensively on that line. Henry Ford is trying to assert itself defensively on the line. We're going to see who's going to win this contest. Exciting contest thus far going on.
4th down and a long one for the technicians. Here's the give to Carey.
I don't think he got
it. Might be maybe inches short of the 1st down. If you're just joining us, we're on location at Lorenzo Wright Field near downtown Detroit. And another semifinal matchup between Detroit Henry Ford and Detroit Cass Tech. And the winner will go on and face Detroit Kings in the championship game of the Detroit Public School League. Let's go through the roll call of that starting offensive unit. The linemen for Detroit Cass Tech: Tobias Wright, Ramil Pennick, Philip Olden, Ples Williams, Henry Weaver, Marty Mills, Terrence Foster, Marvin Rushing, we talked about him at quarterback. Carlos Carey, number 3, he's a running back. Curtis Drake, number 23, and Alexander Jones, the starting offensive unit for Detroit Cass Tech.
And Marvin Rushing is another smart quarterback for the Cass Technicians. This is another guy that can do it all. I'm telling you, I'm also impressed by him. Marvin Rushing is a very smart, mature man, a young man in the backfield. When things get tough, he's the one that leads that offensive unit, and he makes things happen back there. He scrambles really well. He's got good lateral movement. He does everything that a young quarterback is supposed to do.
So they turn it over on down, and Henry Ford will take it right about the, let's say, the 45-yard line of Detroit. No, I'm sorry, the 50-yard line. And a pickup of about 4 yards.
And Leon Merritt, a running back, 6'2", 215 pounds, carried on that one, and he picked up about 2 or 3 yards on that carry.
Head coach Mike Marshall, a product of the Detroit Public School League system. And it's time to give to number 8, and that's Andre Cummings, 6'2", 225 pounds, senior.
And the Cass Tech technicians smelled that play out. It looked as though they were in Henry Ford's huddle. They knew exactly what Henry Ford was going to do. Everybody stayed home. They stopped that play cold. I'm telling you one thing about this Cass Tech defense. If they don't have a mental lapse, they're one of the toughest defenses in the PSL.
Mike Marshall, head coach of Detroit Henry Ford. Here's full house backfield, and the pass intended for number 3. That's John Fuqua. And they're gonna, well, it's gonna be called completed.
And Jeff, just to let you know, John Fuqua is one of the most versatile football players on Henry Ford's team. He can play corner and safety, he punts, and he also plays running back and wide receiver. And by the way, he's also the son of the former Pittsburgh Steeler, Frenchie Fuqua.
The immaculate reception. Do you
yes,
remember
indeed.
That?
Yes, indeed. That started it all for the Steelers.
4th down and about 4 yards to go. Full house backfield for the Trojans. Big hole up the right side. Maybe 6. Leon Merritt into the end zone. Untouched.
Leon Merritt during that particular time, he reminded me of one of those 1975 pro running backs. Cradles the ball with both arms, hit a hole, helmet down. He's a big guy. Once he fills that opening, he stands straight up, put the ball under the right arm, and he heads toward the end zone. That was a nice run by that young man from Henry Ford.
So Detroit Henry Ford gets on the board first with a nice rumble by Leon Merritt, the 6'2", 215 pound junior running back.
And he'll be back next year, folks.
Now for the point after. Here's the give, and they'll get 2 out of it. Number 3 for Detroit Henry Ford, John Fuqua. So the score: Detroit Henry Ford gets on the board first, 8. Detroit Cass Tech probably stunned right about now.
Well, one thing that you got to look at, you got to pay attention to. again, as we were talking about, John Fuqua, we talked about he's the son of Frenchie Fuqua, former Pittsburgh Steelers player. And if we could take a look at this replay, we'll show you exactly what we're talking about here. What happens is that there's just a big give. Look at this. Look at this. As you can see, both hands cradle. He opens up. The ball is in the right arm. There he goes. Touchdown. He toasted the whole right side of that Cass Tech defensive alignment. And you got to give the offensive line credit, because without opening them gaping holes, that young man would have not been in the end zone. Give that offensive line credit for Henry Ford. They did a great job.
So 35-yard rumble for Leon Merritt, and Henry Ford set the kick off. There's the kick received by number 33, Benjamin Murphy. Ball is loose and recovered by Henry Ford.
Oh, boy. No coach likes to see a game started out this way, especially when you've just been scored upon on your kickoff. The first thing that happens is a mistake. You cough up the ball. Good field position for Henry Ford with a chance to dance into the end zone again. Let's take a look at a replay on that one. It was a nice kickoff by Henry Ford. What happened is that, again, everybody converged. They did exactly what they were supposed to. Watch this hit. How? There it was right there. The ball went spinning up the field, recovered by Henry Ford. Henry Ford with excellent position on the 34-yard line of Cass Tech High School.
First and 10 for the Trojans. Trojans threatening again. Having two big backs in the backfield. Merritt, one of them. Here it is to Leon Bright. Kick off the left side. And Bright into the end zone off the left side untouched. The down right. 5'7", 145-pound junior.
There's another one of those low-to-the-ground running backs we were talking about. 5'7", 145 pounds. Runs very hard, very low to the ground. Hard to bring this kind of fella down. Again, you must credit that offensive line of Henry Ford. These guys are doing a great job. They're completely blowing Cass Tech off of the field. They're blowing them right off the line. Taking a look at the man over on the other side over there for Henry Ford.
Here's the point shooting after. Chalk up 2 more points. Merritt takes it in. So, Detroit Henry Ford is laying it on Detroit Cass Tech right now.
And they're looking real good doing it. I'm telling you, they're looking great. Cass Tech cannot. We're going to take a look at the second touchdown on this. Watch the hole. Watch the hole. As you can see, what happens is that the young man just springs right through, nothing but speed, 5'7", over on the left side of the field. He toasted everyone. All they can do is just smell it because he's gone. He's in the end zone. That puts Henry Ford up by 2 touchdowns. They are up 16-0. Cass Tech cannot afford any more mistakes. They can't afford any more mistakes. It's time for Marvin Rushing to get behind his center and show why Cass Tech is where they are at this particular time.
Tevell Jones set to kick the ball off. Wind blew it down off the tee. Back deep for Detroit Cass Tech, number 2. We have Terrence Foster, and number 33 is Benjamin Murphy.
The one thing they must do is hold on to this kickoff. This kickoff, they've got to hold on to it. They need some good field position. Cass Tech has to get back into this game relatively fast because they don't want to get too far behind.
This one gets by Terrence Foster and into the end zone, so they're going to start at their own 20-yard line. Londell Bright, just a little bit of information about him. He's a football and he's an excellent baseball player. Also has scored 10 touchdowns this year. 8. Mark this down. 8 from over 60 yards and out. Outstanding athlete, the most valuable player on the baseball team, and is headed probably to a All-PSL nomination.
Well, that works because when you got a team with this much talent, I'm telling you, it's absolutely great to see. All of these young men are just doing a great job. And as you can see, the score, Henry Ford up 16-0 over the Cass Technicians. And right now, Cass has to make something happen. Again, I know it's early in the first quarter, but this is a pivotal possession for Cass Tech. They're going to have to show what they can do.
Cass Tech goes to the outside. Rushing Richardson at the last minute to number 32. Clarence Williams.
Well, that's something that Marvin Rushing does really well also. Let's take a look at the replay, and we'll show you exactly what we're talking about. As you can see, he fakes the handoff, roams, and then pop. There it is, right there in the arms, and there it goes, I should say, right there in the arms, and there's a yardage pickup, a gain. Sorry about that, Jeff Lowe.
Just got the suit out of the cleaners. Here we go with the Cass Tech offense. But the defense of Detroit Henry Ford penetrating the line of scrimmage, and Marvin Rushing on the tackle that time. Number 20, Henderson. Come on, baby, come on.
Well, it's really going to be difficult on Cass Tech right now because Henry Ford has everything going in their favor, from momentum to the whole 9 yards. It looks like they're penetrating that offensive line right now. Henry Ford is winning the battle, but not that time.
That time into the neutral zone, number 52. That's Orlando Stevens.
Jeff Lowe, I cannot believe the turnout of people here today. This is unreal. This place is packed. It is packed. Let's take a look at the offsides so you can see what happened. Marvin Rushing looked like that quick hut threw the Henry Ford defenseman offside. He didn't even attempt to jump back on. He knew he was caught.
2nd down and 8. Here's a pass intended and received by Terrence Foster. And that time, Derek Miller, number 6, laying the pass on Foster.
And that was, I tell you something again, that's that game tackling by Henry Ford. They did a great job at it. Henry Ford is everywhere. What they're doing is look like they're anticipating where the ball is going to go, and they're there. And that's putting a little bit of pressure on Cass Tech because what they're trying to do is throw wide, and if Marvin Rushing isn't careful, he's going to pinpoint one of those passes, and it's going to be picked up by one of those outside defenders, and he can be able to walk up the sideline for a touchdown. And right now, that's the last thing that the technicians need at this point.
Derek Miller, a blue chip. Standout for Detroit Henry Ford, 9 interceptions on the year. Rushing back to pass, throwing in his territory, and they cough it up. Let's see who retains it. Derek Miller around the ball and forcing the fumble, but Cass Tech retains their own fumble.
Give number 7 all the credit in the world. Give Kenyatta Sayers all the credit in the world. He popped that young man, caused the fumble. Henry Ford is doing everything out there right thus far. Kenyatta Sayers he's a running back and also a linebacker, 5'10", 170 pounds.
First down, Rushing back to pass, nowhere to pass. Credit to good coverage, the defensive backfield.
Definitely, that was great coverage by Henry Ford, but also, too, you got to credit that defensive line because they put the pressure on Marvin Rushing. They pushed him out of that pocket, as you can see what he tries to do. Hakeem Henderson, who's 6 feet, 170 pounds, wide receiver linebacker, caused that mishap. He tried to spin and go right, but what happened? A host of Henry Ford players was right there waiting on him. Down he went.
So it's going to make it 2nd down and about 15 for the technicians of Cass. Power I formation right, option left for Foster. Got a little sideline. And coming up hard that time was Londell Bright, number 1, first man to the ball.
Terrence Foster took a whack right about there. I mean, that was a real whack. Let's take a look at the replay. And you can see exactly what we're talking about. Marvin Rushing, what he decides to do is a quick pitch off. And right there, the young man, number 2 for Cass Tech, that's Terrence Foster, is whacked by
Londell Bright.
Londell Bright of Henry Ford, and down he went. I mean, Henry Ford is hitting hard. These teams are playing hard football out there. You can hear the equipment touching.
3rd down and 8. Here's the give to the first man through, number 21. And that's Alexander Jones, 6 foot, 200 pound senior.
Now, the thing that I see is Henry Ford is doing on defense what Cass Tech is used to doing. They've got everybody up on the line. They're anticipating what the technicians are about to do, and they're right there to stop it. Give all the credit in the world to Henry Ford. They played a great defensive set that set of downs, and they did a great job.
That's going to do it for the first quarter of play. We're involved in an exciting matchup. Do not leave or do not go anywhere. The score, 16-0 in favor of Detroit Henry Ford. There it is right there. We'll be back with more of the second quarter and some exciting PSL football after this. Come on, team!
This election year, the stakes are high. So get involved. Take charge and do something. That's what a Lifetime Challenge is all about. Take a look at the issues that really matter to you and your family. See why it's so important for women to be a part of politics. And find out what's inspired some women already in office to be there. From your house to the White House and anywhere in between, Lifetime challenges you to make a difference in your lifetime.
Detroit Public School League semi-final matchup. Detroit Henry Ford, team in the white jerseys, and Detroit Cass Tech in formation in the green. Londell Bright receiving it right around his 15-yard line, breaks a couple of tackles, and is down right around the 25-yard line. And that's where Detroit Henry Ford will take over.
Right now, the Cass Tech technicians on defense, they must assert themselves now. They've got to find a way to stop this Henry Ford offense. They're going, you know, right now what they have to do is see if they can hold. Right now, honestly, what they would have to try to do is hold Henry Ford to 3 downs and out. Hope they can get a punt where they can have some decent field position, because it's very important for Cass Tech to get into the end zone right about this point.
95 yards of total rushing offense in that first quarter. Here's the give to Merritt off the right side.
And again, Jeff Lowe, that offensive line for Henry Ford is doing a great job. They're beating Cass Tech in every way. They're beating them all. They're standing the Cass Tech defensive line up. Now, as we talked about, once you can stand the defensive lineman straight up, you won the battle. It's over with. And that's what Cass Tech cannot allow to happen. But this is what Henry Ford has been doing thus far.
Inverted power I formation left for Detroit. Henry Ford is spinning and weaving and bobbing and being hit. And landing close to another first down is the tailback, number 9, Leon Merritt, once again. Brought down by Williams. Our PA announcer today is Mr. John Henry, along with our clock operator and audio mixer, Perry Jackson and Aaron Carr. Thanks, guys, for coming out. They're here every day anyway. They're here every PSL game.
Yeah.
Here's the give off the right side, picking up the first down and much more.
Look at this.
Just like a gain of about 7 on the play. That's number 8. That's the other big running back for Detroit Henry Ford, Andre Cummings.
6'2", 225 pounds. Again, those big backs are making it all happen, especially with that offensive line. They're playing power football right now. This is what Cass Tech is known for, crash mouth football, smash mouth football. But right now, Henry Ford is beating them at their own game.
Power I left. Here's the give to Merritt in the open field. Puts his hands with the ball, and he's running high. Merritt, the big Leon Merritt.
Oh, boy, I tell you something. Let me say it again. 6'2", 215-pound back. That's a lot of young man to bring down, folks, especially when he's on the move.
Very tough runner, inside and out.
Replay time. Let's take a look and see exactly what the young man does. Again, one man is not going to bring this big fella down when he gets moving. What he does, he reverses his field. He's moving left. Watch number 33 for Cass Tech. He grabs him, and it's a dance, but he still carries that young man about 11, 12 yards before he goes down out of bounds. They've got great field position at the 26-yard line of the Cass Tech technician.
Leon Merritt has a total of 90 yards already in this game.
Jesus.
And also, he's the big running back that we really hadn't seen a lot of. And he's a great blocker. He runs inside and out well. And earlier this year, he dislocated his shoulder against Detroit Cody. Returned 3 weeks later and rushed for 97 yards. And in his place was Andre Cummings, who has done a great job filling in for Detroit Henry Ford's Leon Merritt, who's an outstanding running back. There's a look at the Cass Tech band and some of their fans who support their team. You know, the principal of Detroit Cass Tech is Dr. David Sneed. Hello there. And also assistant principals George Cohen Jr. and Ms. Brenda Gatlin and Miss Mary J. Smith, athletic director or department head, Mr. Robert Shannon, head coach, Mr. Sherrill Rowland, assistant coach. We have Mr. Thomas Rocher and Danny Foster, whose son is number 2. He's the tailback for Detroit Cass Tech. Right now, Detroit Henry Ford on the move, good field position. Let's call it about the 28-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Trojans of Detroit Henry Ford. Merritt, a handoff, a bad exchange. Ball like it may have hit Merritt on the hip, but recovering the fumble is Detroit Cass Tech. Number 12 comes out with that's William Grissom.
And that's exactly what Cass Tech needed at this time, because again, Henry Ford was on the move, already up 16-0. The last thing to Cass Tech can ill afford to happen is for Henry Ford to get back in the end zone again. That was something that they needed. Right now, Marvin Rushing, the young quarterback for the Technicians, he's going to have to move his offensive team up the field and into the end zone so they can make this Henry Ford team respect their ability as an offensive unit as well.
Power I formation left for the Technicians of Cass. Fake option and another big hit by number 3 that time for Detroit Henry Ford, John Fuqua.
Again, those are the things that you have to do. Marvin Rushing's decided to keep and went straight up the middle there. He got crunched really well. What did he do? He jumped right up and went right back to his huddle. So Rushing, guys, we've got to do it.
Picks up 5 yards on the play. Second down and 5 for the Technicians. Power I formation left. Power versus Fournette. Here's the give up the middle to Carlos Carey.
Again, that tackle was made by number 57 for Henry Ford. That's Tamiko Godbold. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, big fella. And he made the stop on that play. Right now it's 3rd and 4 for the Technicians. And again, I don't believe Cass Tech has crossed their own 50-yard line thus far in this contest. Have they, Jeff Lowe?
You're absolutely right. Let's say about 3rd down and a long 4. Rushing back to pass, little spot pass to Carey. Carey avoids one tackler and may be short of that 1st down.
Well, it all depends on which foot that referee put the ball down with. That'll tell you exactly how close or how far away they are from that 1st down.
That time, Cass Tech gets a good spot on that one. 7:34 here in this second quarter, if you're just joining us.
This game is flying by, Jeff. It is flying by. Time is moving.
Detroit Cass Tech on the year, 6-1, like you said at the top. And big points for the winner of either one of these games. Here's the give to Foster up the left side. Good blocking at the point of attack by the Cass Tech offensive line.
That time the Cass Tech offensive unit beat Henry Ford's defensive unit that particular time off the ball. If Cass Tech wants to remain competitive, this is what they're going to have to do the remainder of this contest. They're going to have to fly off the line. They're going to have to hit Henry Ford as hard as they can, because as long as Henry Ford continues to do what they're doing, it's going to be a long day for Cass. Cass is going to have to step up. They're going to have to do the things need be in order to get them in the end zone.
Power I formation left for the technician. There's the give to the first man through. That's number 21 on the carry, Alexander Jones.
Alexander Jones didn't pick up much that time. Again, number 57 for Henry Ford. That's Tamiko Godbard, 6'4", 240 pounds. Again, another one for him. He's right there, and he's making everything happen. When these guys coming up through that middle, he's right there making them pay for it. He's not being pushed out by any stretch of the imagination. He's right there on the line. He's always involved in the play. For the first half of this game, I think he's been around every tackle for his Henry Ford team.
Third and about a long two at the 49-yard line. Rushing back pass, Patrick from the backside. And number 88 for Detroit, Henry Ford. That's Londell Bright. Been 6'4", 225 pounds junior.
Let's take a look at the replay, Jeff Lowe. As you can see, penetration by Henry Ford. Here they come, coming around the backside of Barden rushing. There's a no-see. Fortunate there was no fumble there. Took him down at the loss, and that's a sack for the young man, Rondell Marsh, as you just said. 6'4", 225 pounds from Henry Ford. The pressure is on Cass Tech. Right now, they're punting the ball away to Henry Ford. If it isn't all that great of a punt, Henry Ford is going to have great field position again.
So the Trojans rise from the defense. Londell Bright drops it, gets it about the 15. Looks like a clip on the play. Bright trying to get outside, and it's swarmed by the technician.
Yeah, that one, you're right, Jeff. That looks like it's coming back, but I love the way this young man, he runs straight up the field. He uses his speed. He runs low to the ground. He jukes a lot. He moves. He swerves. There's only one criticism. He's got to hold the ball with both hands, because if somebody comes past and slaps at the ball, it's going out. That's going to be a turnover. And that's what they can ill afford to happen that far in their own territory.
Nicknamed the Speedster, Londell Bright, and he exemplified that. The second touchdown by Detroit Henry Ford. Referee Dan O'Neill making the calls with his crew. Mike Marshall, as I was beginning to say earlier in the broadcast, is a former Detroit Public School student from Detroit Southwestern, was an all-state quarterback, played under Joe Hoskins. Was that the same guy you played under?
Yeah, Mike and I played together for about a year, and he was a great quarterback. I still wish he had one to Grambling.
Here's the give to Leon Merritt, I believe. He picks up a few more yards, going sideways. Let's say a gain of about 5. Make it second down and 5.
It's going to be, right now, it looks like the pressure is slowly but surely mounting on Cass Tech. Their way of playing football, smash mouth football, looks as though they may have to go to plan B, because the way Henry Ford is playing right now, it's going to be a tough afternoon if they continue to run the ball the way that they are. They're really not getting any first down yardage, and what it's turning out to be is 3 and out. And that's one thing that they can't afford to happen, and continue to let Henry Ford eat up the clock.
Leon Merritt on the carry, picks up about 3 yards on the play, third down and a long 1, let's call it.
Now, this is an important defensive stance for the technicians. If they can hold Henry Ford, they will come up with great field position. Let's see what happens.
Another first down by Detroit Henry Ford. So they're going to dominate this game on the ground.
I tell you, this Henry Ford team is really awesome. They are an awesome unit, defensively as well as offensively.
Merritt's been the workhorse most of this first half. Only 2 minutes and 50 seconds left before halftime. Power I formation left. Here's the game to Merritt again, breaks a couple tackles and picks up about 4 yards.
But I like what Cass Tech did. That is a smart thing that they did. That's what they must do from here on out. Right now, Henry Ford has some big backs. These guys are huge, 215, 225 pounds, over 6 foot 1 inches tall. You cannot hit these guys up high. You've got to go for the leg. That last play, Cass Tech has illustrated what they must do to stop these backs from Henry Ford. If not, it's going to be a long day for that defensive alignment. Plain and simple.
Gain of about 3 on the play, make it 2nd down and 7. They credit this offensive line and the coaching staff. Mike Marshall gives a lot of credit to. 215-pound average. Here's Bright trying to get outside. It does. That is ruled out of bounds by number 33 of Detroit Cass Tech, Benjamin Murphy.
He's lucky no flag was thrown there.
And tangled up in our cable cords down there. Coach Mike Marshall credits his coaching staff, Cliff Baker and Al McCann, for an outstanding job with the offensive line.
And taking a look at the replay, what happens, this is sheer speed that moves him around the left side. Look at him run away from those Cass Tech defensive team there. And what he does is he's running wide, but he ran out of room to run. He was taken out of bounds, and again, lucky no flag was thrown on this play. He took him all the way to the running to the track.
3rd down and a long 6. Tevell Jones sprinting out to his right side, brilliant territory, and he was 1 tackle away from breaking that one.
Right now, Henry Ford is dominating in every aspect of this game. They're dominating defensively, offensively. Their quarterback is doing a much better job. Their calls offensively is great. They're mixing it up really well. They're spreading it out. Quarterback for Henry Ford is calling his own number every now and then, and when he does, he's picking up some great yardage. Take a look at the replay. What happens is that he takes a couple of steps back and decides to go left. He had some nice hits put on out there, but then as he rounded the corner, he showed exactly what it takes to do this. It's speed, and he moves, and he's juked, and he still picks up an extra 7-8 yards with a Cass Tech defender on his shirt tail.
Merritt, once again, good power running by Leon Merritt.
Again, these big backs can really tire out a defensive unit. They can tire a defensive unit out. Now, Cass Tech's defense has been on the field the majority of this first half. Their offense has been 3 and out. Their defense has been out there the majority of the first half of this game, and they've got to be tired right about now.
2nd down and a long. Let's say 2nd down and 6. Here's Tevell Jones sprinting right.
That same play, he called his own number again. You know, it continues to work. And what's happening is that he's just taking the ball, and he's running wide left. He's picking up 4, 5, 6 yards at a time. And as we talked about earlier, anytime a team can pick up 4 yards at a pop in 3 downs, that's 12 yards, 2 yards over the average for a first down. They've got the first down on the 3rd down try with 2 yards to spare.
Detroit Henry Ford takes a timeout. Coach Mike Marshall wants to talk about it a little bit, talk it over with his offensive unit. And he's really shown us, you're right, a variety of different attacks from the Detroit Henry Ford side of the ball. There's the time on the clock here in this first quarter of play, 46 seconds here in this first half of play, excuse me. And there's your score, 16-0 in favor of Detroit Henry Ford. You know, another thing about Detroit Henry Ford is that their line play. And then we're just going to name a couple of these guys. Mika Godbolt, 57, one of the best tackles in the state, as Mike Marshall tells us. Rod Elson, number 54. All these guys are quick. They're getting off the ball pretty good thus far in the game. And he credits that to his offensive line coaches, Cliff Baker and Al McCann have done an outstanding job with the offensive line. Average weight size, 215 pounds, small by a lot of standards, or in comparison to the King offensive line and some of the great offensive linemen that Detroit King has produced. On the other side of town, I believe Detroit Henry Ford depends on a lot of their skilled players. Tevell Jones, Londell Bright, Merritt, guys that can run the ball, guys that don't need a whole lot of area a lot of room to run the ball, and that's what the line is providing. They're not throwing people totally out, but they're providing that space. Power right for Detroit Henry Ford. Here's the give once again to Merritt, and there's the room, and there's the first down.
As you said, Jeff, it was a perfect assessment on your part. The thing is that Henry Ford is opening up a big enough hole against Cass Tech for those big backs to rumble through and pick up 4 and 5 yards at the top. Cass Tech is being beat in a similar style offense that they run, and they're being beat by Henry Ford. My estimation is that Cass Tech is going to have to come out in the second half with an entirely different strategy if they want to get back in this football contest.
Tevell Jones calls his own number. Leon Merritt to the flag. Might be a clipping on the play. Let's see what the call is. But that time, Tevell Jones getting outside and picking up some valuable territory.
Absolutely. Valuable real estate, but it's going to be sold back on a technicality because I think we've got a clip there. And that's going to bring it back for Henry Ford. But Henry Ford, as we said, has been doing everything right today. Offensively, defensively, their special teams has been doing a great job. Their back has been giving Cass Tech all kinds of problems today. The offensive line has been opening up big enough holes for Henry Ford for those big backs to maneuver through. When the backs aren't maneuvering through the holes, Henry Ford's quarterback is running wide and picking up huge chunks of yardage on Cass Tech, and they're catching Cass Tech on their toes. I should say flat-footed, and they're picking up 5 and 6 and 7 yards at a time. And right now, Cass Tech can ill afford to have this happen to them. Going into the second half, they cannot afford to have Henry Ford score something quick right here or get into a position to kick a field goal.
I formation, 2 big backs in the backfield. Tevell Jones, straight drop back pass. Looking deep down the sideline for Bright. Nothing happening there. Good coverage by number 12 of Detroit Cass Tech. And that's William Grissom on the coverage, 5'11", 150-pound DB, and he done a good job in keeping the ball and the quarterback and Londell Bright contained.
William Grissom did an excellent job. That's exactly what a defensive back is supposed to do. He had position, and he did not let the offensive receiver round him. He did not let him through. He cut him off. That was a great play by the young man. That's exactly what has to happen some of the times. Estimation on my part about Cass Tech, the second half, as long as as Henry Ford continues to have this kind of time, Cass Tech is going to be in a lot of trouble. Cass Tech is going to have to do what we've seen them do numerous times in several games that we've seen them play in. They're going to have to blitz sometimes. They're going to have to put the pressure on the quarterback from Henry Ford. It's going to have him make some mistakes. They need some sacks. They got to get momentum on their side. If they continue to play this kind of football, it's going to be a long afternoon for the Cass Technicians.
Second down at 10, only 9 seconds up here in this first half of play, and Detroit Henry Ford is probably looking for the end zone on the next 2 plays. They might be able to get 1 or 2 plays off, but they're going to be definitely looking for the end zone. There's your score here in the second quarter. If you're just joining us, we're on location at Lorenzo Wright Field. Detroit Henry Ford 16, Detroit Cass Tech 0.
And these are 2 of the best teams in the city, folks. I mean, you cannot ask for more here. They're solid defensively. They're solid offensively. They run similar offensive game plans. But at this particular time, Henry Ford is winning.
Pitch pass, looking deep for Londell Bright. That time another good defensive position by Terrence Foster on Londell Bright.
That was excellent one-on-one play by Foster. Give him all the credit in the world again. He was sort of beat by the wide receiver coming out. It was one of those route without plays, a quick pitch to the back, who then ran left, held up, threw something long. And it's a good thing that Terrence Foster decided to stay awake instead of going to sleep. If not, that would have been a quick 6 for Henry Ford. Instead, what happens, he comes up with a great defensive effort.
Third down, 2 seconds on the clock. This will be the final play of the first half. Tevell Jones dropping straight back. Once again, for the third time, looking deep to Londell Bright. This time, this play will end the half, and that's your halftime score, 16-0 in favor of the Henry Ford Trojans over Cass Technicians. And as the Trojans gallop into their halftime and talk about it, the Cass Technicians 0, Henry Ford Trojans 16.
Cass Tech is going to have to come up with some new technology for the second half, first of all.
We'll see in the second half. That's the main thing
that they're going to have to do.
We'll see in the second half of play. We'll be back with some halftime statistics.
Election year, the stakes are high. So get involved. Take charge and do something. That's what a lifetime challenge is all about. Take a look at the issues that really matter to you and your family. See why it's so important for women to be a part of politics. And find out what's inspired some women already in office to be there. From your house to the White House and anywhere in between, Lifetime challenges you to make a difference in your lifetime.
Experience, integrity, tough-minded fairness. Retained Detroit Recorder's Court judges A. George Best, Terrence K. Boyle, Dominic R. Carnevale, Richard L. Cunningham, Gershwin A. Drain, Robert L. Evans, Geraldine Bledsoe Ford, Isidore B. Torres, Leonard Townsend. Experience, integrity, tough-minded fairness.
You're watching Barden Cablevision, TV6 Detroit.
Welcome back to Lorenzo Wrightville and his semifinal matchup after exhilarating halftime performances by both the bands from Detroit Henry Ford and Detroit Cass Tech. A battle being waged on the football field and a battle being waged in the band room. We're set for the second half kickoff, and it goes to Cass Tech. A fumble on the first play, balls around, and no, they're going to march that one down. Almost a disastrous blow for Cass Tech, but they will retain the ball at about the 25-yard line, and that first half, there was any indication the Trojans are hungry. Here's some first half action. That's Merritt on a touchdown run, and that happened in the first half of play. That was the first score by Detroit Henry Ford.
As we can take a look at the first half statistics, Jeff, let's take a look at Cass. As far as first downs, they only got 2. They were in the run department. They had 14 carries for 31 yards. Passing, they were 4-4 for 22 yards. Fumbled 1. Penalties, 0. Sacks, they had 1. Now on 4th end, they had 11 first downs, 22 runs for 198 yards. Passes, they were 1 for 4 for 3 yards. Fumbled 1. Penalties, 3 for 35 yards. Sacks, 3. Now let me also mention that Merritt had 11 carries for 107 yards in that first half.
Outstanding first half for Leon Merritt. Detroit Cass Tech coming out in a run and shoot type of formation to start the second half of play through a first incomplete pass intended for Terrence Foster. And once again, they line up in that running shoot double wing formation. And rushing, looking to the right, running right, and picking up about 6 yards on the play. Let's call it 3rd and 4. That was smart by a smart play by Cass Tech. Let's take a look at that first Henry Ford touchdown in the second touchdown to Henry Ford's in the first half. As you can see again, how you give it to these nice-sized backs that they have. This is the young guy that runs short to the ground, Jeff Lowe. Londell Bright.
Londell Bright, he takes it straight in for a touchdown. These were the 2 scores that put Henry Ford up on top. We're back to action now. Jeff Lowe calling the shots.
Double wing formation, the motion man rushing, coming up with a big hit that time was number 7 from Detroit Henry Ford, and that's Sayers. 5'10", 175 pound defensive back, linebacker. The defensive unit for Henry Ford been playing an outstanding game, containing the run and shoot offense and power formations of Detroit Cass Tech.
And the one thing that you have to look at, Jeff, looking at Cass Tech cannot be so I can't even think of the word I'm thinking of. But they can't have that same look every play. They're going to have to look different. That's one thing Henry Ford did in the first half. They shot things to completely confuse Cass Tech's defense, and I mean they did things differently. The sets in the backfield, the running by their quarterback, the whole 9 yards, everything was different. Cass Tech is going to have to do the same thing. They're going to have to mix it up. They can't come out and play one certain style offense, because if they do, that means Henry Ford can key on it.
Well, in that first half, Detroit Cass Tech was all power offense. Now they come out in a run and shoot type of double wing formation. Motion man number 23. Here's rushing with the option of number 32. That's Williams getting outside and picking up some valuable territory.
Valuable real estate. That was a nice play by Marvin Rushing. It was a smart play by the coaching staff of Cass Tech. Let's spread the ball out. Let's run wide. Let's do a combination of things. Let's mix it up. Let's not let Henry Ford just look at one particular play, which is more or less power right up the middle. Let's take a look at the replay. You will see exactly what we're talking about. Marvin Rushing were tied up by several defensive players. He pitches the ball off to number 32, which is Clarence Williams. Clarence Williams picks up some very valuable real estate. He was brought down by 3 defensive players for Henry Ford High School, from Henry Ford, I should say.
Good downfield blocking that time by Terrence Foster. Some things you just can't teach. You have to go by instinct. And that time, some good downfield blocking by Cass Tech. If halftime was any indication, the Detroit Cass Tech band fired the football team. There's a look at the unit of Detroit Cass Tech being coached by Sherelle Rowland. And, you know, that's kind of an inspiration when you can stand out there and hear that band. You know what I mean?
That's true. That band must have fired them up, because that band was fantastic at halftime. I'm sorry, folks, you didn't get a chance to see it, but I thought I was looking at something from Grambling State University. I mean, they were absolutely great out there.
Cass Tech on the move. Let's mark it around the 33-yard line of Henry Ford, and this is one of the few times that they have been in Henry Ford territory. 9:20 on the clock if you're just joining us. It's the Detroit Public School League semifinal game. Detroit Henry Ford in the white uniforms, Detroit Cass Tech in the green and on the move. The technicians are in a double wing formation, single back in the backfield. That's number 32, Clarence Williams. In motion is number 23, and that's Curtis Drake. Straight drop back for rushing, looking for a little spot pass. Received by Terrence Foster.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, that was it. But you want to know something? Marvin Rushing took a hit on that one. He was cracked just as he released the ball. And the thing that you got to look at is that was a wonderful play by Cass Tech. These are the things that they must do in the second half. They don't look stiff as they did in the first half. Let's take a look at the replay, see exactly what we're talking about. Marvin Rushing, he fades back, takes 3 steps in the back. Look at that hit. He connects with number 2, his receiver, Terrence Foster, picks up tough carry, picks up about 7-8 yards on that one. And after all, Marvin Rushing gets right back up under his center. That young man has a lot of heart out there.
And Henderson unloaded on Marvin Rushing. This time, Rushing looking to the other side, finds number 23, and that's Curtis Drake on the reception.
Now Cass Tech can open up that running game again. This is what they had to do. The quick passes, the quick pops and outs, the options, the whole 9 yards. Taking a look at the replay again. Marvin Rushing knows exactly where he's going. He takes 4 steps back. He passes out to number 23, which is Curtis Drake. Curtis Drake is then hit by and brought down by a host of Henry Ford players, but still they pick up some valuable yardage on that possession, working their way toward Henry Ford's end zone.
Double wing formation. No back in the backfield. Terrence Foster in motion, coming towards you. Rushing, dropping back under pressure, looking for Foster in the end zone, and it's coming up short. A little too much air under that one.
A little bit too much. It's a little bit windy out here today, and getting that ball that far up in the air is going to make that pigskin do some weird things up there. You just can't do that today. Marvin Rushing is doing exactly what he needs to do, though. He's mixing it up, taking a look at the replay, what happens, but look at the defenders. They right in on him again. He didn't have his feet planted. He puts the ball up in the air. He had a couple of receivers down there, but it was a good thing because it was a great possibility Henry Ford could have came up with the interception. Again, give credit to Henry Ford's defensive linemen. They're putting all the pressure in the world on the young man, quarterback from Cass Tech.
Rushing. That time, once again, pressure applied by Detroit Henry Ford. And Rushing was forced to run it. They're in that double wing formation, which is primarily a passing formation. 2 wideouts to the left and 2 slot backs. That time, Rushing under pressure, decided to tuck it and run with it. Primary target in that play, Terrence Foster. That's the go-to man, probably one of the top-rated receivers in the Midwest. And there's a look at the Trojan marching band. Both bands provided some great halftime entertainment.
They certainly did. They certainly did.
Double wing formation, single back in the backfield. That's Clarence Wilson. Motion to the left. Here's Rushing, looking left. Lot of pressure again, and he swarms.
Credit that Henry Ford defense, number 45 for Henry Ford. That's Dwayne Robinson. He's a running back as well as linebacker, 5'10", 165 pounds. The pressure was put on Marvin Rushings, and again, what happened, he goes down. The defensive unit beat the offensive unit. Cass Tech was moving the ball really well, but they did not give Marvin Rushings that much time. He, too, just as we talked earlier in the Murray Wright King game, Marvin Rushings is going to have to find a way to roll outside, left and right, simply because they are not giving him enough time to do his thing in that pocket.
There's your score, 16-0 in favor of the Trojans of Detroit Henry Ford over Cass Tech. Here's the give to number 9. That's Leon Merritt, picking up about 3 yards, and 2 of them backwards.
Did you see the mistake the Cass Tech defense people made? Again, they hit this big fella up high. You don't hit big fellas up high. You got to take their legs. And the first thing that happened as soon as the Cass Tech lineman made penetration, he grabbed the man up high. That still enabled the back for Henry Ford to gain 3 or 4 yards on that run, when if he had wrapped him up around the legs, he probably would have dropped him with about a net gain of about possibly 1 yard or right back to the line of scrimmage.
Full house backfield for Detroit Henry Ford. And once again, the workhorse, Leon Merritt. No, let's check that. That's not Merritt on the carry. That's number 8 this time. That's Andre Cummins. 6'2", 225-pound senior.
Down and 5.
Picked up about a yard on the play. We'll call it 3rd and 5.
Now in this setup, Cass Tech is going to have to really play some tough defense here. If they hold Henry Ford, they get the ball back in pretty good field position. This is an important play.
Tevell Jones called his own number, picked up the first down, and a lot of sideline real estate that time.
Again, Henry Ford's back and their quarterbacks are doing the same thing. Whenever they get themselves in that position, and we can look at it over and over again, the first thing they do is run wide. Now, as you can see right here, what happens is it's a quick pop, and he just keeps the ball. He knows he's going to keep it. With his backs out in front of him, he runs wide, picking up yardage over on the left side. Now, if I was in Cass Tech's position, the first thing that I would do, I would send a man to the spot. I wouldn't send him. I would send him to flush that quarterback who's ever running that ball wide back on the inside. There has to be some containment, and that's been what Henry Ford has been doing all day today whenever they found themselves in that 3rd and long situation.
Power I formation. Right here's the give to Bright, running out of the tailback spot this time. Londell Bright, the ball carrier. You know, it's a luxury to have 2 big running backs like Henry Ford has, because you can turn your team from finesse to power with a switch.
Definitely.
Because that's just like having 2 big 225-pound linemen in front of them. But they're running backs with finesse and speed, and they get out there and clear some territory for that man right there, Tevell Jones, the quarterback.
Who's doing an excellent job, by the way, today. He's doing a great job today.
Second and 5 to give to Merritt. First down and more. Merritt breaks it outside. It's finally brought down right around the 20-yard line
Merritt, the ball carrier,
of Detroit Cavs.
Again, Andre Merritt is a big back. I believe Merritt is 6'2", 215 pounds.
good
This
for
is
a
a big
first
guy.
down.
And even when he was hit, he still took the defenders 3 or 4 yards with it. And taking a look at the replay, look who wins the battle at the offensive line. Henry Ford does. And what happens is Merritt just weaves his way on through. He cuts over on the right side where he picks up an extra 12, 13 yards. He hits a defender, pushes up another 2 or 3 yards on that play. Excellent run by this young man. Excellent balance. He did everything well. But you got to credit first that offensive line that made it possible for him to get through that hole where he could cause all the damage that he had caused.
Merritt, the big fullback, missed a large percentage of the season. Doing a fine job here in the semifinals. This time, penetration by Detroit Cast, getting across the line of scrimmage. Big number 76, Ples Williams, on the stop of Tevell Jones.
Ball carrier stopped by Williams.
We can't say this enough, but right now, Cass Tech again cannot afford to have another touchdown scored by Henry Ford. Taking a look at the replay again, what happens is that big number 76 for Cass Tech, who, by the way, happens to be William Pass.
The other way.
Pass Williams, excuse me. I'm getting so excited sitting up here watching these two good teams play. I'm just pronouncing names wrong. But the thing about it is that he made penetration, grabbed the quarterback, pulled him down for a loss. And right now, this is what Cass Tech has to do. Somebody's going to have to step up.
Jump pass, and pass intended for coming, incomplete.
Pass intended for coming, incomplete.
I am impressed with this Detroit Henry Ford offensive unit and their variety of schemes. Looks like it's going to be a call against Detroit Henry Ford. Maybe a holding.
As am I, Jeff. I'm very impressed with him also.
A lovely day for football, especially with the weather that we've had the past weeks. Turned out to be a beautiful afternoon here for football. There's referee Dan O'Neill with the call. Let's see what it is. It's a holding. So they're going to mark off 10 yards against Detroit Henry Ford. It's going to make it
We have a holding
second
penalty
down and
Ford.
We're going to mark it at the 45, so second down and about 30 for first down.
And right now, I think Henry Ford is smart enough where they're not going to try to get it all back at once.
Second and 27.
And I don't think they're going to try to get it all back at once. Cass Tech has to make something happen here. They've
Henry
got to
Ford
put some...
going to the air, looking for Bright, overthrown.
Well, I made a mistake. They did go for it all at once.
Jones pass intended for Bright, incomplete.
With the speed
Third
that
down.
Detroit Henry Ford has on the outside with
Third
Londell
and
Bright,
27.
you can take that kind of chance.
Yeah.
So, third down and 27. Detroit Henry Ford once again threatening, but dodging some bullets. Detroit Cass Tech defensively. The defensive unit is trying to redeem themselves after a first half.
Right now, Jeff, it's time for a blitz. They don't want this young man to set. They need the blitz. They need the pressure on him.
And here it comes, the blitz. An incomplete pass, incidental contact. The bench of Detroit Henry Ford
Jones
looking for the
Bright, incomplete.
looking for the pass interference.
Fourth and 27.
Feet got tangled up. No flag on the play. So, fourth down and 27 for Detroit Henry Ford. And they're going to punt it away.
But Cass Tech gets the ball back. And see, you know, it's getting to that critical time in the game. Cass Tech is down by 2 touchdowns. But in reality, they're down by 2 touchdowns and 2 points. What they have to do now, Cass Tech is going to have to score. This is a very important possession here.
Fuqua with a good punt, nice and high. Don't let it bounce, see where they mark it. Going to be right about the 19-yard line of Cass Tech.
Fuqua's punt is down.
Detroit Cass Tech, interesting statistic here in the last 7 games.
First and 10.
Only average giving up 0 points in the first quarter, which that was broken. 1 point in the second quarter, 2 points in the third quarter of play. They haven't given up any points yet, and a total of 5 points in the fourth quarter. There's your score, 16-0. Still a lot of football left. If you're just joining us, we're at Londell Bright Field in Detroit. And the semifinals of the Detroit Public School League. Detroit Cass Tech in the green. Detroit Henry Ford in the white. Rushing, rolling out, is going to keep it. Trying to get outside, slipped up. Or tripped up.
Looks like he slipped up. But that's primarily the right idea for Cass Tech. What they're going to have to do is have Marvin Rushings. He's going to have to have some lateral movement, moving left and right, and he's going to have to start hitting some of these guys over the middle. The sideline passes I disagree with, simply because the wind is blowing very hard today. Something can stay up there a little bit long, and Henry Ford's defenders can grab one of those passes out the air, and all they've got is about 10-15 yards to step right into the end zone.
Double wing formation, no back in the backfield. Here's rushing, rolling left, looking across the middle, intercepted! And you called it. Intercepted by number 44. That's Dennis Hubbard.
Although Dennis made the interception, credit the defensive line for Henry Ford. Again, they put the pressure on Marvin Rushing. His feet were not planted. He was throwing in a backward motion. Let's take a look at it, and I'll show you exactly what I'm saying. The pressure by number 20, look at him. He did not have his feet planted. Number 20, that's Hakeem Henderson, put the pressure on Marvin Rushing and made him throw a bad pass. What happens? Henry Ford intercepts it, and they're headed with great field position.
There's a look at the wind, and on the field, Leon Merritt takes one for about 4 yards. Let's call it 5 yards on the play.
Merritt, the ball carrier. More on the tackle.
It's really difficult right now for Cass Tech because they've really put their backs up against the wall here, because with the time remaining in this quarter, I believe it's 17 seconds, Jeff Lowe?
And ticking.
And ticking. They've only got 1 quarter remaining, and they're down 16-0, and Henry Ford has possession of the ball. So it's going to be very tough on Cass Tech.
Fumble on the play, and Tevell Jones recovered. But that might be the last play of this third quarter. So, no horns to sound. Let's see if that's going to do it for the third quarter.
That was recovered.
Yes, that's going to do it for the third quarter of play with your score. Detroit Henry Ford 16, Detroit Cass Tech 0. There's your score right there. We'll be back with this fourth final quarter.
This election year, the stakes are high. So get involved. Take charge and do something. That's what a lifetime challenge is all about. Take a look at the issues that really matter to you and your family. See why it's so important for women to be a part of politics. And find out what's inspired some women already in office to be there. From your house to the White House and anywhere in between, Lifetime challenges you to make a difference in your lifetime.
Is brought to you by Auto Alarm Authority.
There's a look at the big crowd here at Londell Bright Field, and we're ready to start this fourth quarter of play. Detroit Henry Ford gives to Merritt. Merritt has been the Trojan horse all game long. He's been carrying the Trojan team on the back.
And again, let's credit that offensive line of Henry Ford, who's doing such a fantastic job today. They're just really beating up on Cass Tech. And Cass Tech right now, their back is totally up against the wall. It's going to be really difficult for them to come back in this contest. And I say that simply because all the breaks and everything is going the way of Henry Ford. But let's face it, folks, Henry Ford have made their own breaks today. They've done everything right.
First down and goal for the Trojans. And Tevell Jones just takes it, snap, and calls his own number. Quarterback sneak up the middle for a touchdown.
Plain and simple, call your number, shoot right behind your center, and hit on in the end zone. That's exactly what they did. When you're that close in, and that tough real estate that we're talking about, that's normally the best thing to do. Instead of a possibility of a mistake of a handoff and where you can fumble the ball or whatever, all you do is keep it yourself, run it through, a quick pop or something like that, and you score. Right now, it's another 6 points. They're going for 2 more.
Full house backfield for the Trojans. Here's a crossing play to Fuqua. And let's see if he gets in.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Fuqua goes in for the 2-point conversion.
There's a look at Coach
So with 7
Mike
minutes
Marshall,
and
pleased about
22
his
seconds
performance,
remaining on the
about the
scoreboard.
performance of his team
Fourth
right now.
quarter. It's Henry Ford 24.
And so let's take a look at some of Cass Tech fans are starting to leave. As you can see, he just simply called his number and just followed his center right into the end zone, and that was 6. But
There's
on
a
the
look across the way at some of the Henry Ford fans.
they're not going anywhere. Yes, and everybody's over there waving their pom-poms, having a good time, smiling and laughing. Of course, you feel that way, that julep, when your team is up 24-0.
Detroit Henry Ford, West Side Division champ, 7-0. Detroit Cass Tech, the Central Division champion, 6-1. The winner will be in great position as far as points are considered for state competition. Here's the short kick. Let's see if it, no, he keeps it in bounds. Looks like still might be in bounds. Let's see who gets it. Indication is Detroit Cass recovers.
Well, I'm telling you, when things go wrong, they go completely wrong. Again, Cass Tech is fortunate to have that possession in their favor. A costly mistake if he had to just touch that ball and Henry Ford had to recover. Because right now, Cass Tech has no other option. They can forget about the. They've got to put the ball in the air. They've got to score, and I mean, they've got to score fast.
Another part of the pageantry of high school football, cheerleaders. There's some third quarter statistics being provided by Charles McIntosh. Tosh, thank you very much for your help.
And in that third period, Cass Tech, as far as first downs, had 4. The running department, they were 6 runs for 43 yards on the pass.
Another fumble on the play.
22.
Excuse me for cutting you off.
Problem.
The action on the field. Looks like Henry Ford recovers the fumble.
Another mistake by Cass Tech, and Henry Ford comes up with it. As we talk about Henry Ford, let's look at their stats in the third quarter.
Big number 57 to Miko Godbold.
Goldbard.
First, in the third quarter, first downs for Henry Ford. First downs 2. Run, they were 7 for 51 yards. Pass, of course, 0 for 0. And they had no turnovers. And again, Merritt has 13 carries for 150 yards thus far.
And Detroit Cass Tech with another turnover, so
First and 10.
it'll be at the
24-yard line.
24-yard line of Detroit Cass Tech. And a new quarterback. Number 23 jumps off sides for Detroit Cass Tech. That was Curtis Drake. Seemed like he did that out of frustration, maybe.
We have a flag on the
Definitely.
play.
New quarterback for Detroit Henry Ford, number 11, is Quantrell Top.
5'10", 165.
Offside on the technician. First and 5.
Your score, 24-0 in favor of the Trojans of the Detroit Henry Ford, the West Side champs of the Detroit PSL. Here's the give to Andre Cummings. And he's tackled by a support unit from
Cummings, the
Detroit
ball
Cass.
carrier.
And right now, Henry Ford is only
Brought down
interested
by
in one
Williams.
thing. They want to run the clock out. They got some of their younger players out on the field, giving them some of that playoff experience and letting them touch the ball a little bit, feel them part of that team. And that's a great move on Coach Mike Marshall's part. When you do things like that, you make everybody feel a part, and you make them feel like they're contributing as well.
On the season, this defensive, there's a fumble, popped in the hands of Londell Bright. He got the rebound and almost took it in for a score.
Everything's going right for Henry Ford today. No matter what they do, it's coming up roses. I'm telling you. Right now, Henry Ford can grow grass on concrete. That's how well things are going for him. Let's take a look at the replay, folks. This is unbelievable. The quarterback for Henry Ford decides to run right It looked like he was in option play, but what happened was that the ball was knocked out, and look who's there. Yes, indeed. Number 1, Londell Bright, and he takes the ball, and he scatters around the right side, picking up about 6 or 7 yards on what should have been a fumble, turns into a 6 or 7 yard gain. Henry Ford keeps possession of the ball.
Ball at the 6-yard line of Detroit Cass Tech right now. Threatening to score again. Here's the give to Merritt. Twisting and turning. Let's see, did he get in?
Yes, he did.
1 indication, 2 indications. Touchdown. Detroit Henry Ford, putting some distance in between them and the technicians.
Well, I think right about now, all the wind is out of the sail of the technicians right now. They had a chance to get back into the contest, but again, costly mistakes caused them. But sometimes mistakes are caused by the opposition. When you have someone who is as good as Henry Ford is defensively and offensively, they're going to make you do things that you really don't want to do.
Merritt scores his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. I formation for the Trojans. Rollout pass looking deep in the end zone for number 12. That's Fortunato. Arthur Fortunato. Incomplete. So, the Trojans get on the board again. 30-0 is your score. 9:27 here in the 4th quarter of play. If you're just joining us.
Is no good.
Well, I'm telling you, if you had told me earlier in this contest that Henry Ford would be up 30-0 over the Cass Technicians in the 4th quarter, I wouldn't have believed it. Right now, Henry Ford is a very dominant team. They're the better team today. Everything is going right for them. I mean, when you can turn a turnover into a fumble into a possession, then that makes things happen. Let's take a look at the touchdown again. As you can see again, number 11 quarterback, that's Quantrell Top, takes the ball, and bam, hands, there it is, end zone. Number 2, slow-mo replay, a quick give to one of those big backs, number 9, and we've been calling his name all day, Leon Merritt. This guy has almost 160 yards on the day.
Here's the kick. Kick short to number 31, and good coverage that time on the tackle, number 61 for Detroit Henry Ford.
Ford's kick.
Abdul Graham.
Abdul Graham on the tackle for Henry Ford.
And Qantas Dale of Cass Tech was the one that picked the ball up and decided to venture
on the 37-yard
So
line.
Henry Ford delivering a big blow to the technicians.
As you can see, Cass Tech's man is trying to rally their team to let them know it ain't over till it's over, guys. Let's get on out there. Let's get up the field. We still got time.
Little confusion on the offensive side. They're going to take a timeout.
We have a timeout on the field.
Timeout on the field. With that timeout, just to give you a little background on Coach Sherrill Rowland, graduate of Detroit Central High School in 1966. Attended Wayne State University. Has his master's from Wayne State. Been in coaching a long time, a lot of experience there.
Absolutely.
Assistant coach at Henry Ford in 1976-77. Assisted at Chassis in 1983. Head coach at Percy in 84. And head coach at Cass Tech. He started at Cass Tech in 1985, and up to this point, he's still the head coach. He's done a fine job. Very consistent program. Very good school. Detroit Cass Tech. Both of these programs have excellent coaches and excellent administrators who believe in competitive nature in sports and in the classroom. Great student athletes. Both these guys have kids all over the country in Division I programs. Cass Tech has a lot of kids down at Kansas, Missouri. Henry Ford has them at Central Michigan and other schools all over the country. Here's the give to Clarence Williams. Not much, maybe a loss of about a yard on the play.
And it becomes one of those times in the game, again, where Cass Tech seems as though they're interested in trying to hold on to the ball, get some distance up the field before they put the ball in the air, simply because they don't want another turnover and give Henry Ford great field position again.
49-30, that's the head coach's record. Sherrill rolling. Here's rushing, looking to the left, finding number 23, and that's Curtis Drake on the reception. 49-30, that's his varsity head coaching record for Coach Sherrill Rowland. 8 years as a head coach.
Taking a look at the replay, as you can see Marvin rushing. What he does is he just fires the ball out left. Reception. They pick up about 7-8 yards on the play. Aztec just moving the ball on up the field.
3rd and 5. And they're going to be short a man possibly on the field. Let's see if they get him back on. Yeah, he's running back on right now. A little confusion.
That's number 34 who decided to come back on. That's Bobby Carter. 5 foot.
Here's the option to the right side. Williams finds some room. It's a daylight. Tip on, 2 guys down the sideline. Finally knocked out of bounds by Londell Bright. Sorry, let's check that. Number 6, that was Derek Miller, who finally knocked Clarence Williams out of bounds.
Then again, that was a great run by the technician. That was one time, I think, that Henry Ford went to sleep a little bit on the line. You can see Marvin rushing. He decides to roll, pitch out, and number 35 receives the ball, 32 I should say, and he turns that speed on. The Jets are on. He blasts his way upfield. Henry Ford defenders are still chasing him, determined to catch him, refuses to give up, and finally knocks him out of bounds at around the 10-11 yard line.
On that particular play, that time the 2 defenders from Detroit Henry Ford had to make a decision, just like the defensive end and linebackers do. Either you tackle the quarterback and that back is sprints out and runs free like Williams did, and your linebacker has to come across and make sure he's responsible for that containment. Right. That time, the linebacker, number 44, on that play missed the tackle, and that broke it wide open for Clarence Williams to pick up the yardage that he did. But a good play diagram that time by Detroit Cats.
Right.
There's your score, 30-0 in favor of the Henry Ford Trojans over the Cass Technicians.
Well, let's see if Cass Tech can do something here to get in the end zone. This is something that they've been trying to do all day against this stubborn Henry Ford defense.
Rushing, giving to Williams again. This time, May has gotten back to the line of scrimmage.
And that's always a tough call to primarily try the same thing as number 54 for Henry Ford made the tackle, Robert Elsie. He's 5'11", 240 pounds. Taking a look at the Cass Tech offensive unit there, Marvin rushing, number 8, quarterback for the Cass Tech Technician, 6'1", 175-pound senior.
Here's rushing, looking left, throwing to the corner, intercepted in the end zone. Good defensive play that time by number 12, or Arthur. No, I'm sorry, number 6. That's Derek Miller with the interception.
Russian pass.
And again, Henry Ford made their own break. The pressure was put on Marvin rushing by that defensive unit. Derek Miller, 5'10", 165-pound defensive back, goes up in front of the wide receiver for Cass Tech, pulls the ball down in the end zone, and it turns everything around again. Let's take a look at this replay we have here. As you can see, Marvin rushing decides to roll left. Pressure's on him. He puts it up. Guess who's there? There he is.
Great coverage.
Right for Henry Ford.
And his position was key there. As you can see, he's in between the quarterback and the defender.
There you go. And they're both going for the ball. So when you're going for the ball, you can block that offensive player out. And there's really nothing that anybody can say or do about it. Again, Cass Tech turned around. Not able to get in the end zone again. Henry Ford with possession of the football this game. And we have 5 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in this contest, PSL semi-playoffs.
Here's the sweep or reverse to the speedy number 21. That's DeMar Donaldson, 5'5", 145 pounds. Trying to get outside. A couple flags on the play. Another thing about Garrett Miller, and I'm looking at the statistics here. Last year he had 9 interceptions on the season. This year he's second in tackles on the season. So it's unusual sometimes for a defensive back to be second in tackles.
I hear you. And again, as you can see this replay, there was nothing but speed here. As you can see, he was taken out over on the left side by his offensive counterpart, and he's run down by a host of Cass Tech defenders. Out of bounds he went, but it's all for nothing, holding on the Henry Ford offensive unit.
Coach Mike Marshall's record in the PSL, 19-1 overall. That's a success story. Here's the give to number 44, breaking a couple tackles, getting upfield. And the second unit of Detroit Henry Ford.
That's Dennis Hubbard. 5'10", 160 pounds. All of these guys, you have to remember, are coming off the bench of Henry Ford. These are guys that Coach Mike Marshall is putting in the game, giving them all a chance to participate. Take a look at the replay here. As you can see again, what happens is just a quick give on the right side, and speed is what does it, the breakaway. These guys are so short, so small to the ground. They got them elevated high and they got them small. And this guy right here, number 44, Dennis Hubbard, he does a great job. Speed got him where he wanted to go.
Time to give to Londell Bright, number 1.
Brought down by Gresham.
As the clock continues to tick, 4:37 here in the fourth quarter of play. Detroit Henry Ford trying to advance on to the next round and the next phase, and that is the city championship. And these next 2 weeks mean big victories for both these teams. I believe next week, the season's not over for Detroit Cass. One more game left, possibly a crossover with the Detroit Catholic League. And we don't know who that opponent might be yet. So the season's not over for them. They still have an opportunity now with this behind them, or possibly behind them at this point. They can look towards hopefully getting into state competition.
Right. Well, it looks right now as though Henry Ford will be taking on the King Crusaders next week. And as more and more time tick off the clock, that becomes more of a reality than a likelihood.
Fumble on the play, recovered by Mr. Gresham. As he takes off his helmet and walks to the sideline. So, they turn it over on the fumble at the 3:39 mark. Short Cass, double wing formation. Motion. It's number 88, Frederick Wilkerson. And they throw to the motion man. Wilkerson on the outside to the 20, the 10, and touchdown.
Cass scores.
Frederick Wilkerson on the reception and the touchdown.
5'10", 152-pound wide receiver. Brings it in. Marvin rushing. Quick shot over the left side. He hauls it in. Speed takes him up the sideline. He toasted that left side of Henry Ford's team. Gets into the end zone. That's 6 points for the Cass Technicians as we take a look at their band, who seems to be a little bit jovial because their team has now scored in this game, and it will not be a shutout.
Avoiding the shutout. That's the 3:20 mark here in the fourth quarter. Detroit Cass gets on the board. For the point after. That's Curtis Drake, number 23. Battling his way, and he's going to come up short. So, there's a flag on the play. A little pushing going on, a little frustration. Part of Cass Tech. Everything's okay, though.
And Marvin Rushing shows some sportsmanship as he reaches down and extends his hand to his opponent on the other side, Henry Ford player, in a bid to help him off his backside. It's always nice to see.
Your score, 30-6. Detroit Cass Tech gets on the board for the first time here in the fourth quarter.
And we're going to take a look at that touchdown again by Cass Tech, Marvin Rushing. He throws left, and what happened was that the defensive back for Henry Ford took a gamble. He lost. Number 88, Cass Tech, Frederick Wilkerson, takes the ball into the end zone. As you can see, number 3, which is John Bucher, went up for a knockdown, but instead he got burnt on the play. Frederick Wilkerson, as we said, 6'3", 180-pound tight end, grabbed the ball out the air and took it into the end zone. 6 points for the technicians.
Detroit Cass Tech, a team that has scored 175 points on the season and has only rendered 52 points on the season. Like we said at the top, 6-1 on the season for Detroit Cass Tech, 7-0 for Detroit Henry Ford, and very happy Mike Marshall. Here comes the onside kick. Let's see if they handle it. They don't handle it, and it's a mad scramble for the ball. Let's see who comes up with it. Henry Ford comes out of there with it, though.
Well, it was a nice attempt by Cass Tech with a little bit more than 3 minutes and 60 seconds remaining in this contest. A bid for an onside kick, possibly grabbing possession of that pigskin and working their way in the end zone again to try and put it a little bit closer, to score closer than what it is. Taking a look at the replay again, there's a nice squib kick, and what happens, it hits one of the players and it bounces around, and it's like a pig with grease on it. Hard to gain control of it. But what happens, somebody does.
Well,
Go ahead, Jeff.
you know when you have those linemen up front there with those pads and everything on their hands,
yeah,
it's pretty difficult to handle the football there.
That's why they say just fall on it. Just fall on it, plain and simple. Just fall on it.
New quarterback for Detroit Henry Ford. That's number 4, Marquis Jameson. Some action at the quarterback position.
It's really a tough afternoon for the technicians. I know they didn't expect for it to come out this way. But what happened was that things just didn't work out the way they anticipated. All the breaks were made by Henry Ford today. And this is why the score remains the way it is. Henry Ford is up. Scored 30.
In the last 2 years, Mike Marshall has compiled a record of 22-3 overall. Each year he attends University of Colorado to work on different strategies and techniques. He's really an involved coach, a hands-on coach. And he's really done a wonderful job with his program. There he is in the gold hat talking to his players during this timeout.
And just more or less telling the players, you know, primarily let's just not get too crazy, keep possession of the ball, not make too many mistakes. And, excuse me, not too many, let's not make any mistakes. Let's retain possession of the ball, keep it on the ground, see if we can eat the rest of the clock up.
Assistant coach Danny Foster was talking to his
team at the PSL athletic program
team.
And exhibiting good sportsmanship.
And that's probably one of the things he's saying. Let's exhibit some good sportsmanship.
And remind you to come out to
keep our heads up.
championship game.
A class act, Detroit Cass Tech. Great students, great academics, great athletics. Third down and about 8. Dropping back, looking for Fortunato deep. Incomplete pass. I'd like to salute some other champions in the Detroit Public School League system. Golf champions, runner-ups, Detroit Cooley. Detroit, we'll just name the school. We're not going to go through the point system. We'll just name the school. Detroit Cooley has won a championship this year in their Division II golf tournament. which was held on September 29, 1992. Osborne, Western finished 4th. Cody finished 5th. Denby, Central, Southeastern, Murray Wright. Also qualifying in a Division I championship, individuals, Kenneth Matthews, Mike Brown, and Travella Matthews, all from Detroit Cooley. All had scores of 47, 50, and 50.
Ethics, integrity, and respect.
And Division I, Detroit Mufford on top, followed by Detroit King, Cass, Northern, Renaissance, and Pershing. Remind you, these are the co-ed golf tournament results. Individual qualifier, Stephen Blunt from Detroit Renaissance, score of 58. Salute to those champions. Here's the all PSL golf team. Minute 32 on the clock, and they're going to turn the ball over on down in the football action.
Yes, indeed.
All PSL golf team. That's Shannon Tyler.
Short of the first
Detroit Cass Tech. Stephen Blunt of Renaissance. Jamelia Johnson of Cass. Mike Brown of Cooley. And Stacy Clemens of Mumford. Congratulations to the All-City and All PSL golfers.
Yeah, that's a hefty congratulations. It's good to see.
Rushing, looking down the middle for Wilkerson, trying to connect on that combination again. Incomplete pass.
Russian pass intended for Wilkerson, incomplete.
Your score is 30-0 if you're just joining us. We're late in the fourth. 30-6. Check that. There's your score. 30-6. 58 seconds here on the game clock. Rushing, rolling right. Looking downfield, nobody to find. He's finally knocked out of bounds.
Russian on a keeper, knocked out of bounds by Robinson.
Next week, we can say it now. Detroit Henry Ford into the championship game against Detroit King.
And as you can see on the replay, Marvin Rushing took a busted play and turned it into something. It was supposed to be an option play, but looked like no one was there. So he takes the ball and rumbles down the field, pick up about 7 yards, which will make it about 3rd and 3.
Movement on the officials line of Detroit Cass Tech. Legal procedure. So, looking up to next week, Detroit Henry Ford and Detroit King probably will be one of the best championship games in a long time.
I agree with that. I thoroughly agree with that. I think you've got two great young teams, two outstanding coaching staffs, great athletic minds. Everything coming together is going to be a war.
Number 10 just unloaded.
Intended for Dial, incomplete.
On Quintus Dow. And we're trying to get a name on number 10. Let's see who that is.
41 seconds remaining in this contest.
Well, number 10 unloaded on Quintus Dow with a big hit that time.
We're just calling the kamikaze.
We got a special name for guys that are not on our roster. Rushing, looking to the sideline for Williams. And he can't make the one-handed grab.
Intended for Williams, incomplete.
Congratulations are fitting right about now with 36 seconds on the clock. Detroit Henry Ford, the West Side champions, and now they advance to meet the King Crusaders in the championship game.
And that should be a winner. That should be a monster of a game. It should be a great game. King, I heard some people say the only team that has a bigger offensive line than the King Crusaders is the University of Michigan.
First and 10
this is definitely a nice-sized team.
On the 30-yard line.
Definitely a nice-sized team for King. And they proved today exactly what they are about as they downed Murray Wright, who was without two of their star players, and illustrated why they're considered to be one of the best teams in the state. There you see the cheerleaders for Cass Tech as they refuse to give up with just over 30 some odd seconds remaining in this contest in the Public School League semifinal playoffs.
Join us next week when the championship game will be played against Detroit Henry Ford and Detroit King. And that'll be at Wayne State University.
And also, don't forget, every Wednesday night from 8:30 to 9:30 on Barden BC6, it's Sports Talk Live with myself, Quentin King, and Mike Tiger Price. Jeff Lowe stops by with some great things, high school stuff for us. That's a live show, folks, where you can call in and let us know what you think. Again, that's Sports Talk Live every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30 on Barden Cable BC6.
As the clock runs out, that's going to do it for this one. Your final score, Detroit Henry Ford 30, Detroit Cass Tech 6. And we'll be back with the final statistics as the Cass Tech band continues to provide some great entertainment for us. There's your final. We'll be back with some final game statistics and a wrap after this.
And the Henry Ford Trojans will be held at Wayne State Tyler Field at 3 o'clock p.m. Saturday, October 31st.
What a Lifetime Challenge is all about. Take a look at the issues that